Hey everybody, it's Jeremy here with the Guillette Group, powered by Local Real Estate. Last week, I gave you the data on the market update. Today, we're going to be talking about what this market feels like. We'll talk about the market as a whole, we'll add some hyperbole to that. We're going to talk about what it feels like to be a buyer, what it feels like to be a seller, and why you want someone that fully knows this market on your side. This is the Live Joy Southwest Florida channel. We talk about all things living in and moving to Southwest Florida. If this is the kind of content you're looking for, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That will ensure you get notified every time we introduce new content. So it's kind of a risky video, I think, to put together because so much of the topics as it relates to what our market feels like doesn't feel good if you're on the buy side. But at the end of the day, last week I gave you the data, and this week I would just want you to know what it does feel like and where you are in this marketplace. At the end of the day, the data is one component, but we're all human. And real estate, particularly residential, is deeply personal. So we're emotionally tied to these transactions, especially if you're thinking about something for a vacation home, where you're gonna winter, where you're gonna bring your family down and your friends, to just have a great time, to celebrate life events, or to be able to get away from winter. We wanna let you know, a lot of people are being successful buying homes and selling homes, of course, here in Southwest Florida. We can help you accomplish all of that, but we do want you to know it doesn't come without worry. If you're lucky enough to win a new construction bid, because essentially that's what it is right now, it is a roller coaster of emotions. When you win, you're just overjoyed that you won. And then by the next morning, you think, oh my gosh, did we overpay? How much did we overpay? You start to basically autopsy everything that you've done. Whereas the flip side of that is, had you not won, you get really kind of frustrated. How is it that the builders really want to operate in this environment? And if you do that a few times, your opinion of the market and especially of the builder becomes less and less favorable. So it is not a fun process at times. You want to be aligned to someone that can help give you the guidance and the strategies and frankly, terms that can help get your contract accomplished. All right, so let's talk about the market a little bit. We've had multiple people in the last few weeks say to us, the market's way overvalued, everything's overpriced, I'm gonna just sit out for a little bit. The market's moving way too fast for my comfort. All of that may be true, who knows? None of us have a crystal ball. What I can share with you and the data last week that I provided shows this is nothing like it was in 2006 to 2008 when the real correction occurred. What we're experiencing is a legitimate supply and demand issue. The builders have been underbuilding for 13 consecutive years. Couple that lack of supply with the historically low interest rates and frankly the effects of COVID, where work and life have been reformed in the sense of people are working from home, kids are doing school at home, people have identified they don't have to work to commute to an office anymore. All of these things have driven a surge in home buying and ultimately home prices. So this is a true supply and demand challenge. One of the things we hear pretty frequently is this idea that a crash or a correction is coming. If you search, you can find probably 100 articles right now that would suggest why this market is overpriced. However, I shared with you the data last week. This is a totally different market. So barring any macro effect, which is unforeseen, there's no suggestion that we're gonna see a correction anytime soon. And the reality is, unlike back in 2006 or 8, the interest rates are historically low. So the one change you might wanna keep in mind, unless you're a cash buyer, is as those interest rates increase, your buying power decreases pretty substantially. So if the thought is to wait a year, let's sit out the market a little bit, and in that time frame your interest rates go up, effectively you might be paying more in your monthly payment for the house, even with a decline in the home price. So make sure you're talking to someone that fully understands your situation and your specific market wherever you're looking. It is hugely critical that you align to someone that knows all the facets of this market. Okay, so one of the things that we get some pretty common feedback on is just how quickly this market is moving. Here's the good news. If you're aligned to someone that really understands how our market works, the contract types that we have, they're going to be able to put you in a contract and a product that's going to provide a lot of protection. So even in light of the market that we're in, the speed at which it's moving, the fact that you might have to make a decision in 24 hours, make sure you're working with someone that knows how to keep you top of mind and not the bottom line and their wallet. Shifting now to what it feels like to be a buyer in this market. Unless you're prepared to move really quickly, it can be exhausting. I mean, we have customers that have come to us after working with another agent that weren't getting the right guidance, maybe they lost a bid, maybe they lost two, maybe they lost three. It's frustrating to be a buyer in this market if you're not getting the right coaching and the right direction. At the end of the day, we have tons of people being successful that are starting their journeys here in Florida that love the ability to get in, split time, relocate here full time. You just need to know how to work in this dynamic marketplace and make sure you're getting what you want. Chances are you're somewhere else, out of town, out of state, thinking about, starting a journey here in Florida and wondering how do you do it in this marketplace. You don't want to be in a bidding war. You don't want to compete in an auction style. This is a dynamic market. And really, it's not just Florida. If you are sitting on the sideline of any market in the US, or maybe with the exception of Illinois and West Virginia, all of the markets are hot. So what appears to be, this huge price increase and this lack of inventory, I shouldn't say appear, it's real and it's across the country. You might be more focused on it because you've been watching properties, you've been dreaming about coming to Florida. We hear from people at least every week that say, oh my gosh, I have been watching properties for 2 or 3 years. Had I just bought ... No kidding, right? Had they just bought, they'd be in a much different position. There's no indication that our market's gonna slow down, but there's no guarantee that it's not. So at the end of the day, you want to be working with someone that knows the market, that can provide the protections you need, and help inform you making the best decision possible. Now, let's say you're a buyer that's fortunate enough to be in a new construction contract. It is delay, delay, delay. There was some hope early this summer that we were beyond all of these delays, and the reality is this virus is taking its toll. All of the subcontractors have tons of people that are out sick. They're required to quarantine as a result. In fact, just last week, we had 2 buyers one was approaching their final walkthrough and another one was a week away, that one got moved days for their closing and the other got moved a few weeks. So it is real, it's a problem. I know it feels like at times things are just dragging along. This is a challenge that everybody is facing. This is a legitimate lack of crew. We just don't have the people to do the work. Let's talk about fatigue. And I don't mean, exhaustion. I'm talking about just feeling frustrated with the process. Maybe you've made an offer, maybe you've made 2, maybe you've put in a bid on one of the new construction homes. It's hard on everybody. There is no crystal ball. There is no silver bullet. There is no magic number that's going to win you the bid. There is no way to skip the line, regardless of all the connections that we might have. I will say, however, we are given oftentimes opportunities to take over contracts that other folks don't get because of the relationships we have with some of our partners. We are constantly in front of some of these new construction builders and in the office just talking, and you'd be surprised what sometimes that creates. So you want to be partnered with someone that's visible, that's present, that knows the market, has the relationships, because while it's not a guarantee, it's definitely an advantage. Okay, if you're on the seller side, you probably have a huge smile. That's just the reality. And it doesn't matter if you're here or anywhere else in the country, there's never been another market like this in history. And if you're on the buy side, you look at that and you think, my gosh, how greedy can these sellers be? And at the end of the day, it's not about greed. They're being opportunistic. They're taking advantage of a market they're in a position for whatever reason to do so. And a lot of people aren't selling because where are they going to go? Effectively, they become the buyer and have the same challenge that everybody else is having. So as much as there's the belief that they're being greedy. They're really just taking advantage. It's an opportunity for them to cash in some cases. And people buy for a variety of reasons, just like people sell for a variety of reasons. This market in Florida is very mobile. We have a lot of people that will come here, buy a condo. All of a sudden their kids start to visit more. They spend more time than they thought they were going to here. They then sell. They want to buy a single family home. Maybe they buy a 2-story single family home, and then there's some issues or some medical events arise. Now they want still want a single family, but they want one level. So all of this happens pretty frequently. They might buy into a bundle golf community, and then they have some physical injuries. Doesn't make sense to be in that community any longer, but they want the same amenities. So there's a lot of mobility regardless of the market that we're in. But keep in mind, it's not just about greed. People are constantly buying and selling for a variety of reasons. One thing that we talk about with our sellers, and we had a great example of this recently, we listed a home and we received a great offer with very favorable terms. Well, we were able to do that for our seller because the buyer, quite frankly, had been getting poor advice, was frustrated previously, had made a couple offers, wasn't successful. They made a very strong offer. One that was to the advantage of our seller. Getting the bad advice on the front end can actually lead to more advantage to the seller. So again, no one's looking to, it's not adversarial, it's not a gotcha kind of concept. The market is the market, and the market will bear what the market bears. None of us get to price a home. At the end of the day, the market prices the home. And people say all the time, a home is only worth what someone is willing to pay for. That is exactly how the market gets driven here. Thanks for hanging in there. I know this isn't the most fun topic, but if you're interested in Southwest Florida, there are a ton of communities that would meet your needs. Check out this one, Pelican Landing. It's got a little bit of everything for everyone. It's got a mix of type of homes, whether it be coach, villa, condo, single family, estate home, you name it, Gulf access. It is part of the reason why people are coming to this area.